What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave. I'm very excited to be bringing you another awesome deck tech video today. This is going to be of the Ruby Amethyst deck I played at my last set championships on Saturday. I'm very excited to try this deck out and to talk about it. As of the recording of this portion of the video, I haven't actually played that set championships as of the viewing of this video previous Saturday, but you will see my thoughts after the set championships at the end of the video thanks to the magic of editing. So if you would like to stick around and find out how the deck went for me, definitely do so. It is Ruby Amethyst. I've been on Ruby Amethyst for a few sets now. It's a color combination that I love, but I am on some different tech options. This is not the same build that I played at my last set championships. I only signed up for 2 this time, but I was worried about the URSULA, so I've been trying some different tech stuff. I want to have fun with the game. I don't want to play the exact same list everybody else is playing. If I did, I'd be playing Bucky. So I have been trying some different tech options. You'll see that as we go through this video. Maybe my build is crazy. I was on the typical kind of FLYNN, SISU, Queen's Castle type of shenanigans that you expect from Ruby Amethyst as the last set championships. I think people were really playing around FLYNN heavily because it's also the same answers that you're going to have to Diablo. So I found that I wasn't really getting value out of him. So I ended up coming in 9th in that set championship based on tiebreakers, 45-person tournament with honestly some pretty heavy hitter players in the state of Florida. So I mean, I don't feel bad about that placement at all. I think I performed really well. I think I just got a couple bad matchups, led to a couple lost games, and that made me lose on tiebreakers. But as always, I want to say a huge thank you to the Patreons who made the giveaway possible in the last video. If you haven't seen that giveaway, definitely go and check it out. We gave away a booster box of Inkland, so very excited for the winner there. But if you haven't checked out the Patreon, there's a link in the description below. We have a $5 and $10 tier, earns you some cool stuff. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Ruby Amethyst Control. So the first card we're on, and you're definitely going to expect this out of pretty much every Ruby Amethyst deck at this point, I think, is going to be 4 Chernobog's followers, 2 1 for 1, quests for 1, and whenever there's character quests, you can banish them and draw a card. Super necessary evil for this deck right now. When it comes to that Bucky matchup, you pretty much just want to be inking or playing stuff that's going to net you a replacement card. So if you're not getting a card back in value out of the card that you're playing, you probably don't want to play it and just kind of build up and make sure you have the ink available to play Be Prepared and then Be Prepared the board and then start playing stuff. So that matchup's a little weird, so you need stuff that's going to help you draw to kind of make it a little bit easier. Then we do have 3 magic brooms, same concept. I want to be heavy on that draw. 1 costs are definitely hugely helpful when it comes to that, and whenever you play another character, you may banish this character to draw a card. You guys know him, you love him, and these small 1 drops are great into Queen's Castle because you can go ahead and play more guys, move more guys into there, and potentially draw more cards, which again is going to really help you in that Bucky matchup. Unless they have a lot of characters on the board, or they have Along Came Zeus, they're probably not going to be able to go ahead and out your Queen's Castle right away. So if you have some cheap characters, it's a great way to take advantage of it. Then I was playing a 3 snake build when I went to the previous set championships. With this set championships, I am back up to 4 snakes. I think the value of the goat bounce and rabbit bounce is really good, so I think going back to snake is the right decision. But 2 costs, 3/3, quest for 1. Whenever you play this character, banish her or bounce a character back to your hand, taking advantage of that goat to gain that 1 lore, or the rabbit to draw a card. This is where things vary for me. Like I mentioned, I didn't think I was getting value out of FLYNN. I don't care for FLYNN. I'm trying a no FLYNN build, and like I said, we're focused on card draw. So we are back on Kuzco, Wanted Llama, 1/2 for 2, quest for 1. When this character is banished, you may draw cards. He's a character your opponents typically don't want to banish, which can potentially lead to you getting some extra lore, or they're forced into banishing him and letting you draw a card. If you're not questing him, they probably can't take a favorable attack, so you're forcing them to use a removal spell potentially. So there's some different options with Kuzco. Then jumping into the 3 drops, first couple cards are stuff that's totally necessary in this color combination, stuff you're going to see in pretty much every list. That is going to be 3 friends on the other side, 3 cost, draw 2 cards. You can sing it. Why wouldn't you play this card if you're playing Amethyst? Even going into set 5, I think it's still going to be a staple. I haven't seen anything that would potentially replace it. Then we do have 4 Brawl. I've said this before, I don't even think it's really that good of a card as a 3-cost action. If it was the song, it would be fantastic, but not being a song, it's okay. but because of its value in the meta specifically, it makes it really good. It's going to out Diablos, it's going to out Flynn's, it's going to out Hiram Flaversham, which is so fairly relevant. It's going to out a lot of those characters that are really relevant in the early game. It takes out aerials so you can prevent them from singing. So Brawl is just a necessarily evil in the meta. It sucks when you have to use your turn 3 to hard cast removal and not develop any characters, but sometimes that is the relevant choice. Then back on the typical path, we do have 4 Madame M. Fox. When you play her, same ability as Snake, banish her or bounce a character to your hand. She does have Rush, which makes her amazing, and a 4/3 for 3 is incredible. Just taking advantage of those enter play triggers. Then we do have 4 Maleficent Sorcerers. When you play this character, you may draw a card 2/2 for 3. So this is again just because Bucky is so big in the meta, you want to be able to draw as many cards as you can. She's kind of a light target. Obviously, bouncing Rabbit with Fox or Snake is going to be better, but if you don't have those, bouncing Maleficent can be good, and she is inkable, so you could bounce her back and ink her if that's the better option. But Maleficent, pretty good card. This is again where I pivot. I am not on SISU because I'm not on FLYNN, but I am on 2 Crabs. I think Crabs are really sneaky. They're a card that really helped me out in the first set championship. Like, there wasn't a time that I had Crab and it was the reason I wasn't winning. It was the reason that I was able to scratch back, and something else was the reason I wasn't winning. In the first round of the first set championships I played in, I did go ahead and take out a beast with this that my opponent had used to sing, thinking that I wasn't going to be able to kill it with my Chernobog's followers and I would probably quest to draw a card instead of attacking into it. But I was able to get down Merlin Crab, and a 1-for-1 trade with a beast at that point is something you go for over drawing a card, even in the Bucky matchup. Also worth noting, if you go Crab and then Fox, you can bounce the Crab with the Fox, then trigger the Crab onto the Fox, attacking for 7, take out a Queen's Castle. That whole combination I think is still really, really good, especially in the mirror if your opponent's not on Crab, which a lot of people aren't. Next song in the deck is going to be a 4-cost song, Be King Undisputed. You've seen people cut it. The winning list at Fort Worth was not playing Be King Undisputed. They were definitely on less removal, focused on getting up to that Be Prepared. They had that sneaky SISU line, which I thought was neat, but I can't get behind FLYNN SISU right now, personally. I just think they're weird in the meta. A lot of people are teched against them, but each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters, so great way to deal with those ward characters for like people who are still on aerial and stuff like that. Then one of our best draw options, just recycle this guy over and over again, is going to be Merlin Rabbit. 2/3 for 4 when you play this character, and when he leaves play, you may go ahead and draw a card. He does quest for 1, getting him down, bouncing him back with a snake, playing him again, getting him bounce, draw a bunch of cards. Always good. Even just playing him and then having your opponent use removal to get rid of him, or attacking him with a character taking damage that maybe lets you get a favorable trade, can all be good. It's going to keep you on the cards. And next card we're playing, just like the Rabbit, we have 4 Merlin Goats. 4/3 for 4, quest for 1 when he comes in, and when he leaves you're going to go ahead and gain a lore. Again, fantastic, bouncing him back and forth with the snakes and the foxes. Definitely where it is at. And he's a good attacker. Like, even if he dies, you're going to get the lore when he leaves play. And 4 damage, can deal with like Medusas and stuff that definitely costs more than he does. Then we have 4 Queen's Castle. Queen's Castle has gone up to definitely being a 4 of. I was on 3 of these last set, but as of set 4, I think Queen's Castle has definitely reared its head as a 4 of if you're playing into the meta. And at the start of your turn, for each character you have here, you're going to draw a card, 4-cost location, enter for 1, and it does have 7 willpower. It gets you 2 passive lore at the start of each turn. Super, super aggressive. A lot of decks have a hard time dealing with it. Then we are on 4 Maui, Hero to All. I think everybody should be on 4 of this card. Anytime I see a list that's not playing 4 Maui, I'm like, what is happening? One of the best removal cards in the game. People will try to play around him in some instances, and some instances they'll just say, you know, let's make him have it. And then when you do have it, it always feels good. Takes out Robin Hood's favorably, takes out Beast favorably, takes out locations fantastically. But 6/5 for 5, no quest and power, Russian Reckless. So he's going to be forced to attack, but he is going to be able to attack as soon as he comes into play. Still a great card. We are on 2 Madame Medusa. This is another thing that changed in the last set championships, and I do think it hurt me in some instances. I hate to admit it. I've always been a proponent of 4 Tremaines, but I was playing 4 Tremaines last time, and there were some times that Tremaine just isn't the card I wanted to see. There were some times where I was sitting against a single Tamatoa, and Tremaine was fantastic. So I still think Tremaine is great, but 4 of maybe isn't where you want to be anymore. So Medusa, 6-cost, uninkable, 4/4, quest for 1. That's another thing I have against her compared to Tremaine. Also, the ability to stack Tremaine Tremaines and then bounce them both with the fox or the rabbit, or with the fox or the snake, I think is relevant. But whenever this lady comes into play, you go ahead and banish opposing character with 3 attack or less. So just definitely a really good card in the meta. Wish I got some foils of these when they were a little cheaper. Then, as I mentioned, I still think Lady Tremaine is great, so we are on 2 of them. 6 cost, uninkable, 3/4, quest for 2. Part of what makes her great, she does have shift 4. You can play a Tremaine and then play another Tremaine on top of her with shift, and then go ahead and bounce them back to your hand with something like a snake. So you got 2 Tremaines ready to go again, which is just a crazy play line. I think she's really great, and when she comes into play, you're gonna banish an opposing character, so that's what makes her so very, very good. Then last time I was on 3 Be Prepared. I don't know that it hurt me so much, but at the same time, I don't think it hurts to have 4. So like a lot of the current lists, I am up to 4 Be Prepared. Wrath of God, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, banish all characters. It is singable with a 7 cost character, which is not something you're typically seeing in Ruby Amethyst now. Obviously that was something they could do with the SISU, not that I really saw anybody take advantage of that. I'm sure it happened and I just didn't see that game, but I did go ahead and go with a different 7 cost character that I always think has been cool and is kind of my secret spice at the top end of the deck. Not everybody expects this card to happen, but I am on 2 Madam Mim Purple Dragons, 5/7 quest for 4. Is evasive, and when you play this character, banish her or return 2 chosen characters to your hand. The main game where she's really not going to be as relevant for you is going to be into that Amber matchup where they are probably playing World's Greatest Criminal Mind. But when you're playing against those other decks, especially Steel, they're going to have a really hard time dealing with 7 defense. Brawl isn't going to have any good way to deal with a 5 attacker. They don't have a lot of answers for evasive right now, so they're probably going to be in an instance where they're going to have to be prepared themselves. So into the Mirror matchup, it can be really good. Let It Go and Hades are a good answer for Sapphire. So maybe in that Sapphire matchup, you ink it. But in addition to that, the return 2 characters to your hand if you're going ahead, doing something like getting Rabbit down, getting Goat down, and then you're able to bounce them both with this character, and then the following turn seeing Be Prepared with her or quest, whatever is most relevant, because that quest for 4 is fantastic. She's just a really interesting card, I think, in the meta right now. Players may leave your characters on the board going into those turns in favor of trying to do a big board wipe, so you may really be able to take advantage of her in an interesting way. But Madam Mim Purple Dragon, I think, is just kind of an underrated card right now in my opinion. But that is the Ruby Amethyst Spice. I hope you guys dug it. Hopefully you enjoyed that breakdown of that deck list. It is a deck that I'm super excited for. I've played Ruby Amethyst a lot. I feel really good about the 60 cards that I have in a pile at this point. You know, wish me luck in the upcoming tournament. And with the power of editing magic, let's go ahead and pop over to the outro.
That definitely went better at Cloak and Dagger with my weird Ruby Amethyst list playing Mim Dragon. I actually had Mim Dragon win me a game by double bouncing Goat to my hand. I did make it into top 8, and I won my first round of top 8, lost my second round to top 8, and ended up with 3rd. I lost to Steel Song, who got double flute both games, triple aerials, hit songs like crazy, like his draw was perfect. My draw was terrible, but I'm going home with the Ursula. Didn't get the playmat, which I wasn't so worried about, but I got the Enchanted Ursula, so pretty happy with this. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. When you see those toys, video games, and Enchanted Ursula off in the distance, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.